Now the new year is finally here, 2023, and if you're anything like me, you're probably thinking, how can I make some extra money in this new year? Now stick around in this video and I'm going to explain exactly how you can start your own candle company in 2023. Welcome everyone, I'm Reese from The Cared Company. We're a handmade pet care, skincare and home care brand, and on this channel we talk about everything that's involved in running our small business. Now if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe button to help with that pesky YouTube algorithm. But with that out of the way, let's just get straight into the video. Coming at number one is big picture. Before you even start a candle business in 2023, you need to make sure that you're starting it off on the right foot, and you need to consider how you're going to be approaching this business. Is it going to be a hobby? Is it going to be a part-time business? Or is this going to be a full-time business that you're moving into? Make sure that you set yourself off on the right foot by considering these points, because it's actually going to affect the other things that I'm going to discuss later on. If this is just going to be a hobby and you're going to sell at summer fetes or give gifts to friends or give them out at Christmas time and birthday presents, then the time, the resources, the money, the time that you're going to pour into this business is going to be far less than it would be if it's a part-time business or a full-time business. Equally, if it's a part-time business or a full-time business, you need to make sure that you understand that up front so that you can actually apply the proper resources, the funding, the time, the energy, the tears. No tears. Make sure you understand what size of business, what type of business you're starting right at the start so you can manage your own expectations and not be disillusioned if it doesn't quite go as you already thought it would. Coming at number two is brand. There are hundreds, thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of candle businesses and companies out there, and they're out there for a reason. A candle business is actually quite a very fast, appropriate, and financially advantageous business to start. So because of that, the market is, to a degree, saturated with dozens and dozens and dozens of different types of candles. So you need to make sure that your branding is on point. And when I talk about branding, I mean across social, in physical products, on paper, on flyers, on banners, on billboards. You need to make sure that your brand is traversing across all these different platforms that you're going to ultimately try to get customers' eyeballs onto your brand. Now when you think of brand, you're thinking of font, logo, colour, general feel, but also you can consider niche. If you're going to niche down, say you're going to have a candle business that focuses on books, where you've got candles that smell like leather-bound books or libraries, or this goes really well when you're reading Harry Potter. Whatever your sort of niche is, if that's what you want to do, make sure that you consider this first, because if you're looking at your niche, sometimes your brand will flow out of that niche if that's something you want to do. Ultimately, you want to create a brand that is thumb-stopping. If somebody's scrolling on Twitter or Instagram or TikTok, you want somebody that goes, stops on your product because it's just got that brand feel that captures those eyeballs. It's all about eyeballs. Make sure you remember that when you're thinking about your brand. Number three is selling strategy. Basically, you need to think about, are you going to be selling in person, online, or wholesale/retail? Those are your three big options. Now, if you're selling online, which I would suggest you do, you're thinking of website, Instagram, TikTok, Etsy, some other different platforms. If it's going to be in person, then it's going to be summer fetes, crafters markets, farmers markets, summer fairs, all that sort of stuff. Or if it's wholesale, then you're going to be going to shops, independent shops, large retail shops, and selling to them in their store. Now you do need to really consider this right at the start, again, which follows up from number one, big picture. Make sure you think of that. You need to think about your selling strategy, because a lot of your actions will then depend on how you're going to actually sell your product. If it's online, then you're going to need a website. You're going to need some Instagram. If it's just going to be in person, you don't need to consider that. If it's going to be wholesale and retail, the other aspects, which we'll talk about, pricing, shipping, etc., are things that you're going to have to consider. So as we go through these points, I've kind of laid them out so that you do go step by step and consider these points, so that when you get to the end, you've got a full picture of the type of business that you're going to be setting up in 2023, and you can just crack on from there. But make sure you consider your selling strategy, which means how you're going to sell your product to your customer. Coming at number four is social media. Have you heard of social media? Of course you have. What you need to do is make sure that you're applying as much time and energy as you can to understand social. When we started off, I thought I understood how to sell things online. I didn't. I thought I understood Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn. I didn't. I thought I applied enough time and learning and resources to learning that stuff. I didn't. What I'm trying to say is you can almost never learn as much. As much as you learn, things will change, things will develop. There's new ways to sell, there's new hashtags to put on, there's lots of different strategies. Make sure that you're staying not just up to date with, but trying ahead of the curve if you can with social media. And the biggest takeaway is, if you think you're applying quite a lot of time to social media, you're probably not applying enough. Speak to friends, speak to colleagues, speak to anybody that you can get a hold of to explain how to sell online. Watch YouTube, watch Twitter, read articles, read blogs, do everything you can to get all that information so that when it comes to selling time, and it comes to marketing, and it comes to using your social, you understand exactly what you need to do. When it comes to posting content, you really need to think of where, when, and what. Where as in what platforms, when as in what frequency, and what as in what sort of content. Now an example for a candle business could be posting twice a week. That's moderate, 2 to 3 times a week on Instagram and on TikTok, and then just posting your candle making content, your candle packaging content, your shipping process, etc, etc. Make sure that you manage your own expectations. If you're going to post maybe 5 times a week, I would suggest just bring it down a couple. If you're only going to post twice a week, maybe stick about twice. What you don't want to do is a Gary V and say that you're going to post 100 times on 10 different types of platforms, because you just won't manage that if it's a part-time business, and certainly not if it's just a hobby. So the big takeaway from that is do as much research and homework as you can on social media. Learn, and then learn some more. Now, coming in at number 5 is pricing. Now, if you look at all the products behind me, I know how much it costs to make that product, all the products. I know how much it costs to make this candle, which is our Cuban Soul candle, which smells amazing. I've got written down on a spreadsheet exactly how much it costs to make every individual product that we sell. That allows me to then create a pricing strategy for online and to retail and wholesale that is actually going to be beneficial for us as a business. And what I do is make sure that we factor in the product cost of all the ingredients, but also the labor costs, things like your insurance, things like your online store. You need to make sure that you're treating your business like a business, which sounds obvious, but you need to make sure you're treating your business like a business. Factor in all those costs to make sure that you're pricing it appropriately. Just quickly on pricing as well, you need to understand, again, this comes from number 1, which is big picture. What type of business are you creating? Are you creating an entry-level candle business, a sort of mid-level candle business, or a luxury candle business? That will depend. Your pricing will then depend on what type of business you're creating. So do not neglect number 1 when it comes to big picture on what type of business that you're creating. And from there, you should then be able to understand what your pricing strategy should look like. If you're really struggling, do a bit of research, go on other people's websites, have a look at how much they're selling their candles for, who they're selling those candles to, and then go from there. I am going to do a separate video purely dedicated to pricing, because I am just covering the surface for pricing. And there's so much more detail that I'd love to go into, but this is going to be the short video, so let's move on to the next point. Now, coming in at number 6 is shipping. Now, if you're going to be selling your products in person, just skip to the next bit, because you don't need to worry about this. But if you're going to have a website and sell your products online, then we need to talk a little bit about shipping. Now, we have our website on Shopify, and we use the Royal Mail. We're in the UK. We use the Royal Mail for our shipping. It's cost efficient. It's got great integration with Shopify, so it makes it really easy to track fulfillment and fulfill orders. And if there's a couple of people working on your business, you can actually show who's working on them at each stage. It's really, really good. I would highly recommend it. Not sponsored, by the way. But when it comes to shipping, you also need to think about the materials that you're actually shipping your products with. I will go into so much more detail about shipping on the longer video, but for this, make sure that you're understanding how much it costs, again, to use the products that you're shipping. That could be brown paper boxes, packaging, padding, your actual labels, any tape that you use, etc, etc. When it comes to our gift sets, we like to use specific type of packaging just to give it that luxury feel, which is great for the customers, and we've had fantastic feedback, but it costs a little bit more. So you need to make sure that you're integrating that into your costing so you can then price your products appropriately. Hey, we talked about pricing before. And if you want to know more about shipping, watch the longer video, because I'm going to talk about it at length. Now, coming at number 7 is refining the product. When you start your business, depends on how much time you're going to apply to it before you actually launch the business. For us personally, we started the business somewhere around the summer of 2022, but we didn't start selling until the Christmas time. So about 6 months. We took that 6 months to make sure that we are creating the best possible product. When it came to refining the product, we started with multiple different, very nasty looking labels, and eventually we came up, and when I say we, my wife, Yvonne, created these labels, completely created these labels herself, designed them, created up with the type of branding, created all the information on here, everything. You're not going to, in my opinion, achieve that in a month. You need to dedicate a lot of time. You might be a graphic designer and you might be able to knock that out in 2 weeks. I wasn't, and she isn't and wasn't either. So it took us a lot longer. But what we did was manage our own expectations and made sure that we refined the product so that we were happy with the product. A lot of people start a business and they launch it nice and early, quick, fast, aggressive, get it moving. But they kind of realize quite quickly that their product isn't the product that they want to really be selling. So they have to redesign the product. They've got to redesign the website. They've got to change their brand. That creates a lot of headaches. In my opinion, is dedicate a lot of time up front to refine the product so that when your business is actually moving and you're selling and you're having to fulfill orders, you're not having to worry about bringing all the labels back, redesigning it, changing the font, changing the logo, all that kind of stuff that's a bit of a headache. If you put that time and energy up front to get that product to where you want it to be and to make sure that you're happy with it, it will actually save you time in the long run and allow you to focus on happy customers, fulfilling orders, and expanding your business. With that said, as you progress through your business, if you want to refine something, I would definitely make sure that you're doing that. In my full-time job, which isn't this, we would call that continuous improvement, where you're constantly looking at the product and thinking where you can improve it, better it, just make it an overall better package. Make sure you're doing that with all your products. Don't just sit back and sit on your thumbs. Make sure you're constantly looking at your product, thinking how you can make your customers happier and make the product overall better. And coming in at number 8 is test. You cannot test your candles enough. Maybe you can test them enough, but you have to make sure that you're testing your candles, when it comes to candles, 100%. Now, I'm going to do a separate video dedicated to how I test my candles because I am quite anal when it comes to testing candles. And I might even throw in a cheeky download so that you can look at my candle testing sheet and then use that for your own business. But when it comes to testing candles, you have to make sure that the wax, the wick, the fragrance, the vessel, everything is singing in harmony to make sure that you've actually got a candle that's going to function and make your customers happy. Because if you've got a candle that isn't functioning properly, number one, it's unsafe, massively unsafe, but also you're wasting money, because if that candle tunnels and doesn't burn all of the wax, you're actually downplaying the amount of enjoyment and time that your customer can have from that product. So if your candle burns for 30 hours, or so you say, and it doesn't function properly and it only lasts for 10, then there's 20 hours that your customer isn't getting that beautiful aroma that you've spent so much time crafting. So when it comes to candle making specifically, you have to make sure that you're testing that thing all the time. Test. When it comes to shipping, you need to make sure that you're testing, doing test runs, because you don't want to send a candle that has a metal lid and a metal bottom and it's a bit dirty. A metal bottom, and it gets to your customer and it's all dented because you have not tested how you're going to ship that product. Or if you're doing a retail order for 100 candles, which would be awesome, and you're sending all those candles and 10 of them are dented, they're going to send them back and you're going to have to be out of pocket and you're going to have to then replace those, which takes time, energy and money. So make sure you're testing your shipping process when it comes to that as well. And when it comes to other products, for example, we sell Lovely Lugs dog cleaning equipment. You need to make sure that that nozzle is working. There's no point putting a great product in a great bottle with great packaging, well done Yvonne, if the spray function doesn't actually work. So make sure that you're testing not just the candles, not just the shipping, you're testing every aspect of your product and your business to make sure that it's foolproof, to make sure that you have happy customers. So there you go, I've saved you some time and created a short video of 8 areas that you need to consider when starting a candle business in 2023. Now if that's pricked up your ears and got you a little bit more interested, make sure you watch the longer video, because I actually go into a lot more detail on each point, explain it step by step, give you more examples, areas that we've suffered in, areas that we've improved in, and then that should allow you to then be able to put that into practice when you start your business in 2023. Now as always, we are brand new to YouTube, so if you can hit that like button and subscribe button, that really would be appreciated. And also if you've got anything that you want to say about this video, if you agree, disagree, or other areas that you want me to cover, put it in the comments below and I'll happily do that in the next video. But other than that, I said this video is going to be short and sweet, so have a great week and I'll see you in the next video.